we give it a couple seconds to kind of people trickle in. But anyways, welcome everyone to a special edition of the 10K Rum podcast. My name is Amos Joseph. I'm joined by my co-host Brook Potter, who is in the UK. How's it going, Brook?
I'm doing well. This is a special occasion. This is not our usual Sunday show. I've got my mead with me. It's actually a dry mead this time. So I'm enjoying myself. I'm back to the hammer. You know, the Gungnir was great, but I figured we had such a special guest. I needed something ancient and historic. So I'm wearing my Mjolnir. My Thor's hammer is on today for our special guest. How are you doing, Amos?
I'm doing good. I was going to say, our guest is not that old.
Yeah, I was like, ancient and okay, well, I mean,
ancient and what?
Well, the principles. We'll get into it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So today, we have a guest, but I want to get the housekeeping stuff out of the way, so we don't have to worry about it during the show. But
yeah, don't interrupt the show with housekeeping. Just get it out of the way now.
So unprofessional.
Yeah, exactly. We of course have our sponsors, Tactical Soap, really good soap product that it's good for men to use. That obviously does not interfere with any of the chemical processes, endocrine system, stuff like that. That's tacticalsoap.com. Use the coupon code 10KRUM. That's basically just 10KRUM. You get 10% off. A little bit of that goes to us as part of the show. And then, of course, our Subscribe Star. You go to subscribestar.com/shitlord-preachers. Now, that's an older name that we had for the show, and we keep that as part of the URL.
We can't change it. We can't
change it. So that's a way where you can subscribe to the show on a monthly basis with a pledge of anywhere between $1 and $25 a month. And of course, shout out to Mundo, our $25 a month subscriber. But and of course, subscribe to the show. Subscribe to us on podcasting platforms. Check out our previous shows. Leave a comment. Leave a like. All that stuff, and we'll get right to it right away. But we have a guest on today. Special guest, who is the vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party here in the U.S., the cooler country. But I would endeavor to say a friend of mine at this point, for how many times I've met with him. Spike Cohen. Welcome, Spike.
Is my soap disrupting my endocrine system?
Depends on the soap.
It depends on the soap.
I just use like it is called endocrine blaster, but I wasn't like I thought that was hyperbole.
Yeah.
I would have never thought that it would actually harm my
some of the other shows we've had different guests on. We've talked about different things like when it regards to like masculinity and such, and certain soaps with just the way they're chemically produced can have certain disruptive influences upon your endocrine system, your testosterone level. Yeah,
that's a real thing.
Yeah, so write down the code, and you can order some tactical soap.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get tactical soap. I'm horrified now to take a shower, and like I didn't realize I was making myself into a soy boy just by showering with non-tactical soap.
Get too much into the soy boy rhetoric, but we're definitely like kind of saying, hey, do what you can with the little things you can.
I mean, I've been using strategic soap, but I guess tactical soap is probably more like on a day-to-day basis. I was thinking longer term, but turns out failing on soap. That's wild.
Then I'm going to get an email like an order of like thousands of soaps are out, and
everyone's panicking over their soap. Like, all right. Well, I thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Yes. Oh no, go ahead, Brooke.
No, I was just going to say, it's Mr. Spike Cohen. Is it okay if we call you Spike? I don't want to assume anything.
Oh, yeah. Please,
Spikle.
Spikle. Spikle is my legal name, but you can call me Spike. Spike is fine.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. This is not going to be any kind of dodgeball or crossfire. We're both big fans of the work that you and Joe are doing.
Thank you.
Amos was filling me in on the whole process of how you got the position. And you've really grown into the political side of this thing. I saw a couple of your
That's
interviews.
a way to describe it, yeah.
Yeah, you've learned the game. Early on, I was kind of like, this guy's a little rough around the edges, but I think you've grown tremendously, so it is a great honor to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I think we just want to get to know a little bit about you, if that's all right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's do it.
So
I'm feeling very vulnerable, but I also just showered, so that might be affecting like my. I don't know why I can't get over my hang up on that. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
it must be the soap with
It's the soap. It's the soap has me feeling really emotional and vulnerable right now. It's probably the best time to
Estrogen is
talk.
too high.
So I guess I've heard a lot of these stories, but I want for the viewers to kind of like get a glimpse at into who is Spike Cohen. So I mean, a little bit of about yourself, I guess, how you got involved with libertarianism as a whole, and then
So there were a few things that brought me here. So first of all, a little bit about my background. I started a company back when I was 16, actually right before my 17th birthday. I started a web design company, and I grew it into a pretty successful company over the years. And two things were going on. One, I was a neocon. After 9/11, I was one of those people that fully bought into the media lies that, the terrorists hated us for our freedoms and we needed to spread our peaceful ways through whatever amount of war we needed to do. Yeah, by force. We need to force them into our peaceful, loving ways and spread democracy around the world by bombing everyone. I mean, it sounds stupid now saying it, but I wholeheartedly believed it. And it really just took me seeing all the predictions that libertarians and some conservatives and progressives who were against the wars and against the imperial policies of the US government, seeing them saying, this is what's going to happen, and then watching it happen. And then them saying, we knew it was going to happen because every time this has been done, here's what's happened. And so it was really just more my, I guess, naivete for me to believe it in the first place. But, so seeing that kind of made me realize that aspect of what government was telling me was a lie. At the same time, as my company became more and more successful, I saw what happens when you start having a company that's actually creating jobs, generating income, helping other businesses, helping your clients, and providing value to the market. They treat you like you've done something wrong. They increasingly tax you. They increasingly regulate you. They make it harder and harder for you to keep trying to grow your company. Now, of course, once you reach a point of being a multi-billionaire, then you're able to leverage the power of government to use those regulations and taxes against all of your competitors so that you can become as wealthy as possible. But I obviously wasn't at that point. And those two things in my personal life really showed me that every aspect of what government had told me and every aspect of my interactions with government were of government imposing themselves on me. And in my own personal life, it was more just a major inconvenience than actual, an acute harm being done. I still have a very comfortable life and was very, blessed and all of that. But I realized that the thing that was making my life the most difficult was government. And so that kind of led me towards, taking the path towards libertarianism. And the more I got into libertarianism, the more I realized that a lot of the people that I thought were not good people were really just people that had been even more maligned by government than I had been. Where I'm being largely inconvenienced, they were actually being, put in cages and being harmed and having their lives destroyed. And I realized that, government was largely an agent of harm. And I realized that if government is to be a legitimate thing, and if it is to be able to claim consent of the governed, which is what we are told is the hallmark of our liberal democratic system. In order for it to truly have the consent of the governed, it has to only exist to protect the lives, the rights, and the property of the people under its presumed jurisdiction. It need never be robbing anyone in its funding. It should only be funded through voluntary means, and it should not be forcing us to do things that we wouldn't otherwise do, or force us to not do things that we do want to do, unless, of course, we're harming someone else's life or body or property or whatever. And that's what led me into libertarianism, was realizing that the government whatever it is they're telling us they're doing for us, often it's the opposite. The government our government at least has turned into a body that takes from us and gives to themselves and the most powerful among us, the people that bought and paid for them to be in office. That is the journey that took me to libertarianism. That's why I ended up doing my shows, My Fellow Americans and the Muddy Waters of Freedom. And that ultimately is why I decided to run for vice president, to show the American people that there is a better way, and that way is the libertarian way.
Fantastic. Could you say that there was an aha moment when you went from a neocon to the libertarian, like something just, that one thing that clicked? Was it something maybe Ron Paul said, or,
So the aha moment was more, it was sort of building up over time, and I was getting angrier and angrier at Ron Paul and Matt Kibbe and other libertarians who tended to message to conservatives saying, if you're a conservative, you can't possibly support this. This is not limited government. This is not a small constitutionally limited government. This is the worst form of government, of empire. And I got angrier and angrier and angrier as things were unfolding and they were being proven right. And one day, and I don't know if there was an exact moment, I didn't write it down or no, but there was at least a period, if not an actual moment, where I realized you're just angry because you're wrong and they're right. And you were so heavily invested in this being true, and now you feel foolish. Well, there's a good way to fix that. Don't be wrong anymore. And so it was kind of a freeing moment for me to be like, okay, I don't have to be invested in a bad idea, a lie that was sold to me that I believed, that I bought into out of fear and out of hope that they were right. Because obviously it would be much more convenient if the people in charge were right about what they said, right? That would make our lives a lot easier. So between that and the fear I had after 9/11, those things came together for me to buy into their nonsense. And so it was freeing for me to go, okay, I recognize now that those were lies, and now I believe this new thing, and I'm not wrong anymore. So I don't have to be angsty about it. So I guess that was my aha moment, if you could call it that.
Fantastic. And you've done some work with another very prominent character in the Libertarian caucus, Vermin Supreme. Mm-hmm. Could you touch how just meeting him and a little bit about what you did with him?
So Vermin is he's one of the smartest and most thoughtful guys I know. He has found an incredible way to use satire to reach people who are so disgusted by the way things are and so disgusted by the political discourse, not just in this country. I mean, it's in the UK as well, pretty much around the world right now. They're so disgusted by the way things are going that they don't want to hear anything from a politician. They don't want to hear anything from traditional media outlets. They get their news from satirists. They get their news from comedy shows. They get their news from, comedians, because that's really the only way they can take it right now, is from people who, add a spoonful of sugar and also who put the onus of the joke, the punchline, on who it should be on, the people who created this mess. Because we're being subjected to a cynical joke. The difference is that the punchline is us. We're the punchline. We get screwed over. We have to pay for it. We get subjugated. We're the ones who suffer, and they get to laugh at us. So using a humorist to get our attention, or to get to consume our news and media, allows us to have that sort of, I guess, gallows humor about the whole thing. And what Vermin has figured out is that he can use this humorous approach, this satirical approach, to reach people that couldn't otherwise be reached, and to kind of win their hearts and minds, and to lower their cognitive defenses, because they don't feel like their ideas are being challenged. They just think they're being, entertained. And then he can hit them with the libertarian message. So, and he's done a great job with that. I met Vermin. I actually wanted him on my show. This would have been so I had him on my show September 11th of last year, and that's when I actually first met Vermin. And so I've known him for just over a year now. And I've been following him since I think 2012, and always thought he was hilarious. And then when he decided he was going to run for the Libertarian nomination for president, I went, "Uh-oh, I don't know how I feel about this." And so I was a little concerned at first, but I wanted to have him on my show. And I also doing more research into what his appeal was and what he was presenting as, his reason for why he was running, I thought, okay, this is understandable. I get what it's about. And so then I had him on my show. We had a blast. We were limited to an hour because he had a thing right after mine. But we had like so much fun, and we stayed in touch after that. He apparently went to his team and was like, that was great. I love that. And they ended up inviting me to hang out with him when he came to South Carolina, where I live, for our convention last November, and for our state party convention. And we hung out there and had a blast. And then 2 weeks later, he and his team reached out to me and said, would you like to run as Vermin's prospective running mate? I was like, okay. And I talked with my wife about it, and I'm like, okay, so that guy with the boot on his head who talked to you about the free ponies in Florence when he came down. I'm going to run as his running mate. And I thought my wife would be like, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. There's no way. And she was like, oh, you'll have fun with that. That'll be fun for you. And I'm like, good. Okay. So then I did it, and we had a great time. And we always did it with the idea that if one of us got the nomination they were running for and the other one didn't, we would enthusiastically support the ticket. Yeah. And if neither of us got it, we'd support the ticket. We're both libertarians. We both believe in what the LP is doing. So there was no hard feelings there. In fact, actually, when he lost his nomination and the following day when I won mine, I believe the first call that I got, as the results were coming in and it was being announced live, because it was all done on Zoom, it was a call from him giving his condolences that I had gotten the nomination. Yeah, so no, he's a fantastic guy, incredibly funny, very, very thoughtful person. Most people know him as this wide-eyed, screaming, "Hey kids," and he's got the boot on and everything. And he's actually like an incredibly introspective person. So it's funny that's people know him from his persona. But no, he's a brilliant guy. He's done fantastic work for the party. And Joe and I are running to make it so that this isn't a cynical joke, so that there are people that are working to serve the needs and the wants of the will of the people. And the only way that's ever going to happen is if we dismantle the policies that the cronies and craven politicians have put in place and put the power back in the hands of the people. It's never going to happen any other way. It is why libertarianism is the way. It is why Vermin is directing people to libertarianism and not something else. Because the only way that that's going to change is if we deconstruct their power and take it back.
Fantastic.
So, I guess tell me, so you kind of actually went right into it. Yeah. We're going to ask you a little bit about kind of working with Joe and, of course, being essentially her running mate at this point. How's that? I mean, I know I've talked to you, heard you talk about different things, but how's that kind of been going ever since? I guess that would be end of May.
Yeah, end of May. May 24th was the day my life changed.
Fantastic.
Actually, I guess I should say November 15th was the day my life changed, because that's when they asked me to first run for the nomination. So I mean, Joe's been great, and the team has been great. And when Joe got the nomination and I got the nomination, I knew Joe. I had met her at some of the conventions that we'd gone to, state conventions, both in person and online. And I knew that we're both libertarians, so our policies would be pretty much the same on most things. But I did some more research and talked with her and the team about policies about different things. And, it was with the idea of, let me go ahead and find out what we disagree on so that we can just head that off at the pass and figure out how I'm going to message that. Because I'm not going to lie about what I believe, but I'm also not going to throw her. I'm also not going to throw her under the bus. And so if I have to just defer to her on different things, then, I can do that. I found out there isn't really a lot we disagree on. And the things we do disagree on, it's more very mild differences on much less important issues, and even those differences are mostly in the weeds type of stuff. It's not really like even full disagreement on those issues. And on any of the major issues we're talking about, we are of basically a shared mind of it, and that's not surprising. We're both philosophical libertarians, so it's not surprising that we would line up 100% on that. But the beauty of that is that Joe and I are obviously very much different in our presentation and in our backgrounds and things like that. but that's a really cool opportunity for us because Joe is able to have outreach to certain groups much more effectively. And there's certainly overlap between our outreach, but Joe is largely, when she's speaking to people, her message resonates the most with people who they see what's going on in the world and they see all this chaos and they just want a return to normalcy. They want a sense of decency back in the White House, or what they saw as a sense of decency in the White House. They want things to be safer. They're concerned about safety and stability and things like that. And her message resonates with them. And she's bringing them to our platform, which is essentially the application of libertarian philosophy and praxis and ethos to the issues that we're facing. I am largely speaking to people who see everything that's going on and they want to burn it to the ground and start from scratch. And they're ready to smash everything. And their concerns come from that same desire for safety and stability and things like that. They just believe it's going to come from completely dismantling what's in place.
Right.
And I agree with that, but some of them are ready to dismantle it, in a far less peaceful way than I think would be a good idea to do so. And so I'm able to kind of almost talk them off the ledge and say, hey, listen, we get it. No one else is listening to your concerns. We hear them. We recognize how to fix this. We can do it in a peaceful way. But both of us are bringing in these different groups of people who all, at the end of the day, their concerns are the same. They're just, facing it in different ways. We're able to bring all of these folks into our core message, which is the libertarian message of self-ownership and non-aggression and small community-based solutions and decentralization of power. And it's incredible. It's been incredible what we've been able to do.
That's an amazing take. That's an amazing take.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I was just saying, it's really, I really enjoy it, hearing the fact that you kind of addressed that right away because typically when you see like ticket runs, you're kind of expecting, everything is just in agreement. The party is perfectly unified, and they're, and it's like among libertarians, that's kind of like the furthest thing is. It's not
that never happens. Yeah. Libertarians never. Yeah, no, libertarian, and this was a unification ticket. So anyone who followed, I mean, Amos, and Brook, you probably know as well, but the Libertarian Party is divided into some factions that agree on probably 85 to 90% on things. It's that 10% that they will fight to the end on it. And I get it. Libertarians are very logic and argument driven, so it would make sense that we would come at each other with these logical arguments, and just never stop. And the problem is that we aren't a large movement to begin with, and if you are going to build a movement into something that can actually contest elections, especially at a national level, in order to do that, you have to come together on your common ground. And it doesn't mean that everyone has to just agree on everything. It's that you focus on what you agree on, which tends to typically be the most important stuff. And you also recognize you need to bring in people who aren't going to believe in everything you believe in right off the bat. They may only agree with you on one or two things. They may disagree with you entirely on those other things, and that's okay. The only way you're ever going to be able to bring them in is to get them in on the things you agree on, and then continue to influence them and talk with them and find common ground with them. And so this ticket is a ticket that represented all of the different caucuses and factions within the party. Joe had the endorsement of the Pragmatic Caucus, which is the single largest caucus in the party, and also the one that's tends to be more moderate in their policies. But she also did very well among the Radical Caucus. She got a B when they did the scorecard for them. She got a B with them. I got the endorsement of the Radical Caucus. I got the endorsement of the Mises Caucus, which is a caucus.
Nice.
It's the fastest growing caucus, and it's the one that's based on the Austrian School of Economics. And also, I had tremendous support among the Audacious Caucus, which is the more left-wing group of people within. Even though I'm a right libertarian, they recognized that I understood that we had shared goals and that we needed to work together. Yeah. And so we kind of brought this, all these different groups together. And I had a decent showing with the Pragmatic Caucus as well. And we were able to bring all these different groups together and show that we can have a unity ticket, and that we don't have to talk the same way, and we don't have to present our our message the exact same way. But we can agree with each other on these things and use our different ways of communicating and use our different spheres of influence that we have to make it so that when this election is over, we didn't leave a single chip on the table. We left it all on the court. We did everything that we could. We went out, dragnet to all potential audiences and brought as many people into the movement and fought as hard as we could to win this election. And that's really all we can do. And I think it's been a great thing for the party, and it's a great thing for the movement.
The thing I saw, I kind of imagined just this picture of you got these two candidates. You've got you and Joe, kind of like you guys get nominated, and then the whole party just kind of everyone holds up their sign, nominating, endorsing you guys. And as soon as you guys are out onto the campaign trail, everyone in the party is like, all right, back to fighting. They're all fighting. Election time comes around. Oh, well, support.
Yeah, we're all friends. And then they start fighting.
And then they're fighting. Yeah.
And here's the interesting thing about that. It's actually even more crazy than that, because there is no differentiation. They will get together in solidarity on something at the same time that they're fighting tooth and nail on something else. So I saw this firsthand at the convention. So we had a bifurcated convention.
Yeah.
There's a big word. We had a two-part convention. So we did the presidential and vice presidential nomination at the end of May on Zoom and streamed it on YouTube. And then we had a hybrid debate, a hybrid convention for all other party business in Orlando, Florida, that also you could attend online if you either were unable to or just didn't want to because of the pandemic and everything. And there were about 400 people including myself and Joe, at the actual in-person convention in Orlando. And I watched firsthand how people would be actively involved in angry debate on the floor, on the convention floor, on all sorts of issues with the policies and the platform and bylaws and everything else. I mean, tooth and nail and very deep personal terms of argumentation. And then they hang out with each other at the pool afterwards, and still be arguing, but it would be in a much more playful way. And I'm like,
good.
Oh, y'all just like to be contrary, or not even contrary, but y'all just like arguing. But they were still, good friends and still hanging out and having fun together. So it's not even that there's a separation. It's literally, that's what they do all the time. They can both be in solidarity and friendship together and be, going at it with each other, arguing. That's just the libertarian way, I guess.
I mean, to be fair, we're having a similar issue out here in the UK. A lot of the senior chairs and stuff have actually resigned. There's a big shakeup going on out here. But a different topic. You did touch on the support of your wife when you decided to run. If it's all right with you, could you talk a little bit about, how you met your wife? How did you know she was going to be your wife? And, how has she been dealing with the campaign?
My wife is fantastic. Amos has met her, which is proof that she's fantastic. No, she is fantastic. She is brilliant, thoughtful. She is Canadian. She is, which is, that's a positive attribute there. She is, she's incredible, and she's beautiful. In fact, the beautiful thing, if anything, has been somewhat of a difficulty for me, because she's beautiful, but she's also glamorous, and she knows how to dress. And so very often, even if I am in a full suit and tie, we show up places and I look like I'm her chauffeur. And if I'm not wearing a full suit and tie, I look like I'm her Uber driver, or like I'm just walking in behind her and I'm not respecting her personal space. Right. It's that kind of thing. But no, she's fantastic. The way that we met, and she's been doing great with this campaign. She's been a real trooper. When I started this, I said, listen, you're not running for office. You are my wife, but no one expects you to do anything. If you'd like to come out to stuff, that's fine. If you don't want to come to certain things, that's fine as well. And she's kind of run with it, and she comes out to stuff, and people are asking for her signature and things like that. She's
awesome.
she's become a rock star, but she's like the Jackie O of the Libertarian Party.
I love it.
So we met online, actually. 13 years ago, just shy of 13 years ago. And this was before the days of Tinder or, well, there weren't apps yet on phones really, because they're like smartphones weren't even really a thing. So there weren't like, video chatting and instant messaging. So this was like the old school, dating websites.
Texting and yeah.
Well, even texting, like you didn't really text to Canada because it was like, $1 a text back then. So it was like we would use like the website chat. I mean, this is how long ago we're talking about. And we had to be, we had to only do our calls after 7 p.m. Like, I mean, that's how long ago we're talking about. I had to get like calling cards and stuff so that we could talk to each other and not spend, $300 a month in long distance charges because she was, in another country. And yeah, so I mean, it's kind of crazy now. But so we did that, and she about a month after we first met online, she came down to visit me in Myrtle Beach, and that I was pretty sure I wanted to marry her by then. At that point, and we continued to do that, going back and forth between the U.S. and Canada, and then she ended up moving here full time in 2009, and then we got married about a year later, not quite a year later. So, and we've been married for 10 and a half years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm glad that the campaign, she's a trooper, some
she's been a real trooper. Yeah.
Some families, that's a real strain. So give her our best, and, continue to, she has our support, for everything that she's doing.
Well, thank you. And I will definitely do that. There's certainly strains. I'm not going to pretend that, doing a national campaign where I'm on Disney the trail. No, it's not. And I'm on the trail 3 days for every day that I'm home, if that even. And it's only going to get worse in the last, this last, month and a half of the campaign. I will probably maybe be home a few days total during that time. And the rest of the time, I'll just be running around like a crazy person, which is okay. I mean, that's what I signed up for. And she knew that, but there's certainly some strains, but we've found a way to make it. First of all, she is always free to not have to come to stuff. So she doesn't feel like she has to be at anything. The only thing I told her she really had to be at, quote unquote, was just the convention. It would be weird if I were at the convention and she weren't there. Other than that, she's, she can come or go as she pleases. I have found that she does more often than not come with me because it allows her to visit zoos and aquariums all around this great nation. That's her thing, is zoos and aquariums. So like right now she's at the Minneapolis Zoo. And so that allows her to, tag along with me, go to the zoo. If she feels like doing whatever libertarian thing I'm doing later on that day, she'll come out and do it. But it's worked well. We learned a long time ago, just from doing like a long distance relationship, that, and just being in a marriage that we're not already divorced, that you have to take things in stride, and you have to find your moments of happiness and joy, or things like, you can't expect them to come to you. You kind of have to figure out how you're going to do it in the midst of whatever it is you're doing. And she's done a fantastic job with it. So
that's awesome. That's fantastic.
I was about to ask, I mean, so you guys met online. Was this like on a chat room or something? Or
it was on a Christian dating website.
In 2007? In
2007.
Christian Mingle, was it? I can't remember.
It was not Christian Mingle. It was another one. I'm Jewish.
Messianic Jewish, is that?
I'm a Messianic Jew. Right. But I was a Jew looking for a nice Christian girl on the internet, and I found one.
That's amazing. I mean, one of the shows that we do is a kind of a Christian debate as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the shitlord preachers, both Amos and I used to be in ministry.
Oh, okay.
So that was the previous name of this show. We rebranded it.
That's the name of
the
thing.
Yeah. So
that's pretty awesome. I mean, you are in. You happen to be in Amos's backyard. You've got some events that were unplanned.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about what you're doing out there?
What are you doing there, man?
Yeah, what are you
I
doing
am in your backyard. This is actually the window into Amos's house. So if you look behind him, there's like a little, that doorway there goes into the room, and it's getting in. That would be really helpful. No, so I am in Burnsville, Minnesota, which is like a southern suburb of Minneapolis, and I am here to knock on doors and canvass for Chris Claviter, who is running for mayor of Burnsville. And Chris is awesome. He's a hero in this community. He's a firefighter. One of my most popular endorsement posts on my social media was when I endorsed Chris, and it's because we used a photo of Chris looking out over a fire that he's about to fight, and it's this house just burning down to the, like this towering inferno in front of him, and he's standing there with like a hose and an axe or something like that, and it just showed like this is what Chris does every day, and he wants to now be a hero in City Hall, in the mayor's office, and he is in what increasingly looks like a race that he's going to win. And I wanted to come out here and support him. And it just so happened when I was looking at my scheduling and I was scheduled to do this show, I thought, oh, that's fantastic. Because now I can even live on the air, I can pressure Amos to come out and help. So we've got one more activist that's coming out because I have, publicly shamed him if he doesn't. But so there's a funny story as to why it is happening today on the 15th. It's that I confused two different things. So I was invited by the LNC, the national committee. They were in Minneapolis last week, and they invited me, or actually this past weekend. I was invited by one of the members, by John Phillips, to come and do door knocking for Chris Claviter on Friday. For some reason, I was on a bus tour where and Amos can tell you, every single minute of my day was packed with stuff. And I was constantly fielding phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, Twitter messages, trying to come up with content, doing interviews, appearances, doing events out in the sun. I spent 2.5 weeks just never having time to do anything ever. And John wrote me asking if I could do this event. Someone else wrote me asking if I could be at something on the 15th. And that turned into, can you do door knocking on the 15th? And so when I reached out, so this weekend when I reached out to John and to the Libertarian Party of Minnesota, and said, hey, great news. I'm going to be able to come out to the door knocking thing on the 15th. They said, that's great. What door knocking thing on the 15th? And I said, the thing I was invited to by John Phillips on the 15th. I'll be there. I can do it. And they said, we're doing that today. Yesterday and today we're doing that. We're just about to wrap up. And I said, well, I mean, I can still do it. And so I said, well, I can't be there now because I'm, in South Carolina and you're in Minnesota. But I said, oh no. And they said, but you're a vice presidential candidate. We can build an event around you. Well, let's do it on the 15th. So literally, this was on Saturday or Sunday. We just started putting the event together, and it's really cool because it's what's crazy is that we have a full-on event. A ton of people are going to be coming out, and it's something that only exists because I just merged two different things together. And so I'm literally out here because I got confused briefly and ran with it. But it's looking like it's shaping up to be a really good event. We got a bunch of people that said they're going to come out, and we're doing a meet and greet. So, oh, by the way, let me plug it. If you live in anywhere near Minneapolis, St. Paul, or anywhere near Minnesota or Wisconsin, if you live anywhere in any of the Great Lakes regions, and you can be in Burnsville within a roughly 2 to 3 hour period, I invite you to join, actually even a 4 or 5 hour period, because you can come late, I don't care. I invite you to come out to Burnsville, Minnesota, and hang out with me. We're going to be knocking on doors and talking with folks in Burnsville about Chris Claviter and his run for mayor. And then after that, we're going to be going to Tavern 13 Tavern 13 in Burnsville, and hanging out around 7. That'll just be my way of thanking all the folks that came out and helped Chris. And we'll be doing, selfies and autographs, and I'll sign stuff, and we might auction some stuff out to help with the campaign and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's going to be a really cool thing. If you're able to come out, I'd love to meet you. If you have any questions, be sure to come out with all your questions. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And we're just hoping to get as much support for Chris as possible on the 15th, just because I'm here now.
Fantastic.
As he's messaging me, you better come out. No,
I'm literally like on my burner phone. I'm like
on the burner phone.
On my burner phone as an anonymous person. Like, I heard you might not be coming to Burnsville. Don't you ever talk to Spike again if you don't.
Fantastic.
How are we looking on time here? Let's see here.
We got another about 10, 15
minutes. We got 10 minutes, about that.
So I want to get, I guess, obviously you discussed obviously there's like very, very subtle differences between you and Joe, and you guys obviously have very different styles of presentation and how you're campaigning. For you personally, just within the platform that you guys have sort of set up for this campaign, what are some issues that are closest to your heart?
So this is always a tough one, because I tend to look at things like holistically or systemically. So it's hard for me. It's kind of like with my health. So when I was diagnosed with MS, I looked into the MS, but then I looked into everything else too, because it was hard for me to just like focus on just one thing. It was like my whole body I had to look at. And it turned out I had a lot of problems. So it was good that I did that. But with this, it's a similar thing, that it's hard for me to be like, yeah, this is a big concern of mine, because I see that there's like this whole, that the entire system is what allows for that thing to exist, or for that thing to be as bad as it is. So I would say the things that I guess tug at my heartstrings the most are the things that are leading to the most acute harms that are happening. So like the war on drugs, which is completely destroying people's lives and criminalizing entire communities and putting tens of millions of people in cages for victimless commerce. And also allowing for addictions to be worse, because the people that are addicted can't get the kind of care that they need without getting thrown in a cage. And how cartels are empowered by the fact that, they have an entire sector of the economy just handed over to them to exclusively be the ones profiting off of. I think of the wars overseas, which, immeasurable harm being done to people overseas, troops coming home in flag draped caskets, or if they come home alive, often coming home with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries and other chronic health problems and pain issues and things like that. Man, what's going on the border? We just heard yesterday that at the ICE detention centers, they're forcibly giving women hysterectomies for no reason, and sterilizing men for no reason. And the fact that they're separating families and putting them in cages for crossing a line and saying they want to live a better life, which when my ancestors came here, all they had to do was, when my dad's side of the family came here, all they had to do was say what their names were, what their country of origin was, and if they had any communicable diseases, they had to be quarantined until they were clear, and then they could go about their life and not have to worry about it. And when my mom's family came here, all they had to do was get off the boat and get onto the land and thank God for safe travels. And none of them would have qualified under the current regime of laws to come here. So that's another big one to me. So that's the kind of police brutality. These are the things that are where you see and can experience the acute harm. And I recognize that those are the symptoms of a much greater problem. And the greater problem is what the Republicrats have set up this system to be. It is a system of patronage and theft and harm, whereby they have presumed the sole authority to take from us whenever they see fit, and they have used that control that they've developed to take our power and our wealth and our freedom from us. And they've taken it to enrich themselves and the well-heeled, politically connected billionaire cronies who have bought and paid for them to be in office. And that has led to the harmful and abusive and inequitable outcomes that we've come to know and expect from them. And it's never going to change until we dismantle those systems. It's not about replacing this one politician, or it's not about ending or reforming this one program. It's about looking at the entire system and recognizing that it is a system of harm for the American people. Everyday Americans are suffering under it, and it needs to be dismantled and replaced with a system whereby the people have their power and their freedom and their wealth back and are able to determine what their lives and what their communities look like without, central planning bureaucrats and cronies and craven politicians hundreds or thousands of miles away telling them how to live their lives and robbing them to pay for it.
Right.
Absolutely. So just to kind of, I've got to nitpick you on this really quick. We only got about 5 more minutes. If you could hit the Rothbard button, right,
yes,
the anarchy button on one issue, what would be that issue?
Federal Reserve. So that's the core
Federal
of the problem.
Reserve. Okay.
That's the core. So that
it's either that or the drug war.
because all those other things.
Yeah.
When the government isn't in charge of our currency, all that stuff necessarily goes away, because right now the government can just print out endless Federal Reserve notes to fund their programs, and they just stick you with the bill for it. And not only do they stick you with the bill for it, because you have the Federal Reserve, which is the U.S. central bank, that is printing out endless Federal Reserve notes and using it to buy treasury bonds, basically to lend to itself, to the government, and they stick us with the bill, 40 years plus interest every day that they take out new treasury bonds and treasury bills. But then it's even worse, because not only are they sticking you with the interest, they're also, by constantly inflating the monetary supply without increasing the value at all, they're just making the value of your money go down over time. So now, we've lost 98% of our value since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. Imagine if your money, and I'm sure it's not much better in the UK with what the pound sterling has done since you went off of the actual silver standard and onto a central banking system, which is largely based on the U.S. petrodollar. In the U.S., our money in the last 107 years has lost 98% of its value. Imagine if your money was worth 50 times what it is now. That's how much they've robbed you. This is what allows them to endlessly fund wars and drug wars and wars on the border and mass criminalization and mass incarceration, all these things that we would have never agreed to be directly taxed for. It's what allows them to completely destroy our ability to create wealth. It's what allows them to completely control the economy. All of the core root of all these things is the fact that the government controls the money you're using. Imagine if you could play a game of Monopoly and the three of us are playing by the rules. We're playing Monopoly by the rules. And the fourth player, every turn, just goes to the banker and says, yeah, print out another trillion Monopoly dollars. I'm going to use that on this turn. That is why we have the system that we have. That is why the poor are getting poorer. That is why the cost of living continues to spiral out of control. That's why income inequality is the mess that it is. That is why powerful businesses are able to be indemnified against lawsuits for them trillions of dollars of damage they do to us every single day, in ways both large and small. This is how it got this way. And if you cut it off at its root, and the root is not just the Federal Reserve, but the presumed authority of the government to be the people in charge of your currency. You end that, you push the Rothbard button on that, and now they have to come to you with hat in hand and beg you for money in order to be able to fund these things. It completely changes everything. Your money gains value over time because now competing competitors, competing providers are competing to give you the best and most sound currency. It changes the entire equation. So Federal Reserve.
Absolutely.
No.
All right, we got about a minute. Do you want to do a quick fire round, like just?
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
What one word answers to your following question?
One word answer. So it's gonna be
one phrase answers, really.
Okay, one phrase.
Favorite movie.
What's your favorite movie?
Probably Scarface.
Oh, good choice.
Oh.
Probably.
Yeah. Favorite band.
Trapped? No.
Oh.
No.
Do rap groups count?
Yeah, sure, man.
Okay, Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh yeah, Killer Bees, man. Come on. Favorite food?
Oh man, anything Chinese. I'm Jewish. Oh no. I shouldn't say that. If I have to pick a single thing, smoked salmon.
Awesome.
I'm Jewish. Again, I'm Jewish.
Right. I just wanted to take a quick moment. I know now Spike knows exactly who I'm talking about. There's someone that works on our team that's really struggling. I think Charlotte, you know what I'm talking about.
Charity, yeah, Charity.
Yeah. We're gonna have a little fun with this, but hope she gets well soon. If she does, we don't know. I mean, it's a tough thing.
Rest in peace, Catherine. Yeah, gone but not forgotten.
Exactly. We don't want you. If we said the real name, that would cause a whole bunch of problems. But
forever in our hearts, Katie Holmes.
With a C. No, sorry. Just I felt there's a chat going on right now, and one of the group chats we're in, and there's like a joke going around. I thought I'd throw this up just to mess with them. But
we are on time.
Yes, we are. Did you have anything, Brooke, that you wanted to quickly ask?
No. I just want to say thank you so much for giving us the time. I know you have to run off to an event. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Kind of final thoughts?
Well, I do want to give my thoughts and prayers to Clarissa Explains It All, and then also, I mean,
that's not very fair to people who are not on the inside joke.
I have no idea what we're talking about right now. There are people who that's going to be a snippet, and people are going to go, "Well, I mean,
here.
I like that show too, but I mean, come on." So no, I mean, listen. Here's my appeal to you, and to everyone that's watching. If anything that I have said has interested you, you want to find out more. You may not think that you agree 100% with everything I've said, but it's at least piqued your interest and you want to hear more. I invite you to check me out on social media. Go to my Facebook page. Go to my YouTube, actually, is probably the best thing. If you go to YouTube and it's actually youtube.com/literally Spike Cohen. Or if you just go on YouTube and search for Spike Cohen, you'll find me. I have a ton of videos on there, anywhere from 1 or 2 minutes in length to 9 or 10 minutes in length. And I break down what we believe on almost every issue and how our administration and how libertarians in general would approach all these different subjects. It's kind of a growing video knowledge base of, what do libertarians think about X? What does Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen believe about this, or how would they handle this? And if you go there and you find out that you agree with us and you like what we're doing, I invite you to join the Libertarian Party. Go to lp.org and sign up today. You can also find your state and local affiliates. If you're in another country like the UK, we have Libertarian parties in many other countries as well. Be sure to find them and join them today. If you're an American citizen, this is only for American citizens, and you want to make a contribution to our campaign. If you're not an American citizen and want to make a contribution, please do not. It is illegal. Very, very illegal, and a lot of people will get in trouble, not just you. If you're an American citizen and want to give to our campaign, our website is joe20.com, and we're about to be announcing this, but we accept crypto now. So
about time. That's kind of late to the game.
Yeah, late to the game, but we are here, and we will be accepting your crypto. So all those coins you've been hodling, be sure to throw some of us a few fractions of those our way. And I just appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. I might or might not see you later. No, I'm just kidding.
I swear to God, if you do not come out, I am going to find out what your address is and knock on your door and ask you if you're voting for Chris Claviter, and if you're not, why. And I'm going to make sure everyone else is there so that you feel sufficiently shamed in your own home.
I'm not. It's just not even my city.
So again, we're coming, and you can experience shame in your neighborhood. We're going to be very loud. I will have a bullhorn, and your whole neighborhood will hear us like really just crapping all over you in your neighborhood. So or you can just come out and have fun with us. I leave that up to you. Yeah. No pressure at all.
Take care of my boy when he's out there, man. He's coming.
Yeah. So, anyways, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for everyone that's going to, of course, be viewing this later on as well. But anyone who's joined us during the show, do leave a comment below, leave a like. Check out all the links now. I only put in a couple links. I had the campaign link, and I think I had like your Facebook page and then Muddied Waters, because I kind of was like, interviewing not just Spike the VP candidate, but also kind of Spike as well. So
yeah,
all that's on there. Check out all the links below, everyone.
Do you have the GoFundMe for Kelly Kapowski?
I thought it was
more
Christine.
inside joke.
Spelled with a C. Yeah. You're right. It's Christine. It's Christine, but without the H. Just CRISTINE.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're gonna have to explain this to Brooke off air. So
yeah.
But thanks everyone for joining us. Of course, we're gonna be ending it here. We'll see everyone, of course, on our regular show next week on Sunday. So thanks for watching, guys.